Texans fans, we were just hit with the absolute worst-case scenario before our season could even get off the ground. Rising star receiver Jayden Higgins has officially suffered a torn ACL and will miss the entirety of the 2026 NFL campaign. It is an absolute gut punch to the organization, the fanbase, and the massive championship expectations we carried into this summer. If you bleed deep steel blue and want daily, passionate, unfiltered coverage all year long, take one quick second right now to smash that like button, share this video with fellow fans, and hit subscribe so you never miss an update. How in the world does a season feel completely derailed before week 1 even kicks off? That is the exact nightmare running through the minds of everyone in Houston right now. When the news first started trickling out from the practice field, the initial reports tried to reassure everyone. We were told things were going to be fine. We were told the injury was minor, that it wouldn't linger into the regular season, and that taking him out of team drills was purely precautionary. But when the medical staff reviewed the MRI scans, all of that cautious optimism was wiped away in an instant. The tests confirmed our worst fears. A complete tear of the anterior cruciate ligament. His season ends before the first real kickoff. It makes your stomach turn. You have to feel for this young man. Jaden Higgins is entering his second year in the league, and everyone across football believed 2026 was supposed to be his official arrival. He was projected to be the ultimate running mate opposite Nico Collins, giving C.J. Stroud a dominant 1-2 punch on the outside. Think back to what Higgins did as a rookie. In 17 games, he recorded 41 receptions, 525 receiving yards, 6 touchdowns, and 28 crucial first downs. What stood out even more was his efficiency. He posted a microscopic drop percentage of just 4%. When the football was delivered into his catch radius, it was secured. Offensive coordinator Nick Caley spoke glowingly during minicamp about how much larger Higgins' role was going to be in this offensive scheme. Head coach DeMeco Ryans stood in front of the media throughout OTAs and praised the physical progression and route maturity Higgins displayed throughout the spring. On the official depth chart, Higgins was locked in as our clear-cut wide receiver 2. When injuries thinned out the receiver room last year, Higgins stepped up to the plate. In our playoff battle against the New England Patriots, when the offense desperately needed someone on the outside to win one-on-one matchups, Higgins played with the poise of a true WR1. To watch all that momentum, summer preparation, and raw athletic growth vanish on a non-contact practice drill is heartbreaking. I truly believed Higgins was primed for a 1,000-yard breakout campaign. He looked fluid in his routes, aggressive at the catch point, and built to punish opposing secondaries. Now, instead of lighting up defensive backs on Sunday afternoons, he faces a grueling rehabilitation process with his eyes fixed on 2027. Now, Texans fans, this brings us directly to our question of the day. With Jayden Higgins officially ruled out for the entire 2026 season, should Nick Caley pivot the offensive identity to heavy multi-tight end personnel packages, or must the front office make an aggressive trade for an established veteran wide receiver immediately? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. As tough as this pill is to swallow, the National Football League waits for nobody. The AFC South will not feel sorry for us, the schedule remains demanding, and the team's championship aspirations cannot be shelved. That means several players in that locker room must step forward and shoulder a heavier load immediately. The first person who will see his burden increase is Nico Collins. Calling on Collins to do more sounds almost impossible given that he is already our undisputed alpha wideout, but the reality is undeniable. Collins is a game-wrecking playmaker when healthy, yet he has not managed to play a complete 17-game regular season schedule in his career. Opposing defensive coordinators will now design their game plans entirely around neutralizing Collins. They will roll coverages his way, bracket him with safeties, and dare anyone else on this roster to beat man coverage. Collins must remain durable and prove he can shoulder true WR1 dominance on every snap. Then we look at Tank Dell. The Texans coaching staff originally planned a conservative ramp-up for Dell following his injury recovery. The luxury of the Higgins-Collins tandem meant Houston could slowly rotate Dell onto the field as a dynamic third or fourth option while he regained his game speed rhythm. That luxury is completely gone. Houston needs Tank Dell to step up right now, shake off the rust, and operate as the clear number 2 perimeter weapon. Further down the depth chart, Jaylen Noel enters a critical developmental window. As a rookie, Noel saw roughly 25% of offensive snaps, and his training camp this summer has already been disrupted by a dislocated finger and a nagging hamstring issue. But when healthy, Noel brings sudden separation and reliable hands over the middle. C.J. Stroud will have to lean on Noel to convert critical third downs and exploit soft spots in zone coverage. We also have 6th-round rookie Lewis Bond. Coming into camp, Bond was fighting for a roster spot at the bottom of a crowded depth chart. Now, with Higgins out of the picture, a direct path to meaningful regular season playing time has opened for him. Bond has the short area burst to make an unexpected impact if he can master his playbook assignments quickly. Beyond individual receivers, this injury could completely transform the schematic identity of our entire offense. The Texans entered this year wanting to play a more physical brand of football by leaning into a bruising ground attack. Without a deep 4-man receiver rotation, Nick Caley may shift toward heavy 12 and 13 personnel packages featuring 2 and 3 tight ends. Instead of carrying 4 tight ends on the 53-man roster, the team could easily justify keeping 5. Players like Brevin Jordan and Cade Stover become foundational pieces rather than situational contributors. Brevin Jordan brings the athleticism to stretch linebackers down the seam, while Cade Stover provides the grit and blocking technique required to seal edges on outside zone runs. Deploying more multiple tight end sets allows Houston to establish offensive balance, create favorable blocking angles, and set up devastating play-action passing lanes for C.J. Stroud. Nick Caley has proven he can adapt when adversity strikes. We saw it last season when injury struck our tight end room, forcing Caley to pivot to jumbo 6 offensive lineman packages featuring Blake Fisher as an extra tackle. He understands how to maximize player strengths and hide deficiencies through creative formation design. Caley will need to tap into that ingenuity once again to keep this passing game operating at an elite level without Higgins on the field. What happens over the next few weeks will define the trajectory of this entire season. Does General Manager Nick Caserio trust the internal depth in that locker room to rise to the occasion, or will we see Houston aggressively explore the trade block and veteran free agent market before the regular season begins? There are proven veteran receivers currently available who could provide immediate insurance on one-year deals, and trade calls will certainly be made. Losing Jaden Higgins is a massive blow to this locker room, but great football teams are defined by how they respond to sudden adversity. C.J. Stroud is still our franchise quarterback, DeMeco Ryans is still the emotional heartbeat of this squad, and the locker room remains focused on a deep playoff run. Keep your eyes on the waiver wire and roster moves over the coming days, because Houston's pursuit of a championship will continue.